must not allow the risk to undermine or stop our ministry. I'm going to have to read this one from the paper here. Why Save Sanctuary? The General Conference of the United Methodist Church adopted a resolution aimed at reducing the risk of child abuse in the church. Save Sanctuary acknowledges the risk and has developed a practical plan to reduce them. Save Sanctuary, by using Save Sanctuary, we're taking steps to prevent harm to our children and our workers. We continue to answer the gospel and be in ministry with children and youth, making a difference in their lives. Definitions that we'll find throughout your Safe Sanctuary book. The definition of an adult is anyone who is 18 years or older. Physical abuse is non-accidental injury to a child. Sexual abuse is any act of a sexual nature upon a child with. Emotional abuse is a chronic attitude and acts which interfere with psychological and social development of a child. A child is a person who is under 18 years of age. So when we say child or youth, that also means youth. Children's and youth activities is any activity or program with children or youth that are under the supervision of staff person or volunteers. Who is mandated to report abuse? Attorneys, audiologists, child care workers, children's service personnel, clergy, which that includes us as a church, nursery health care persons, coroners, school workers, social workers, physicians, interns, residents, and daycare workers. So all of a sudden getting really bright in here. Woo! All right. What are our screening procedures? Careful screening is one way to prevent child abuse for children and youth who are a vulnerable adult. A vulnerable adult is one who's in the room with the children during activities that can then. That would be you as a volunteer. And it's definitely worth having it in place because all the children and the youth who are involved in these programs, it's worth having in place because of you. You don't want to be at risk. Screening procedures for this. All persons who are required to fill out a volunteer screening form, which we have some of those forms tonight. Tina is going to go over that. A volunteer screening form, standard contract, and you can read the rest of it as qualifications, disclosure of criminal acts, waivers to consent and background check, list of 3 references, being in a relationship with the church for 6 months. So you can kind of look those over. All of those, we have those tonight that we're going to be giving you. Our supervision procedures are designed to reduce the possibility of abuse to children and vulnerable adults and to protect staff persons and volunteers from unwarranted accusations. Some of this is really hard to talk about. It's also really hard to hear some of it, isn't it? Because we don't like to talk about things that could happen to children in what's supposed to be a safe place. Who's required to be trained? Training is required for all staff persons, ministry team leaders, and volunteers working with children and youth during church, children's, and youth activities. Our requirements include an application packet, training some of our procedure rules, and we'll talk about the 2 adult rule. Simply stated, 2 adult rule requires no fewer than 2 adults present during any church-sponsored program, event, or ministry involving children or youth. Simple as that.
Is that, for some of these, you pause and see if they have a question about that for some of the simple overarching ones? Would that be okay? I know we do.
Yes. Does anybody have a question?
Yeah.
Some of our 2-person
Yeah. Go ahead, Ray.
That doesn't mean 2 adults have to be in the activity, not 2 adults have to be present at all times.
Yes, 2 adults have to be present at all times.
What do you mean by the
activity?
Well, one is you've got 2 adults in the building. The other is you've got 2 adults with every child, every position, and every view,
Right.
and every table.
Yeah. No, it's to be present in the room. I mean, it would vary a little bit depending on what the activity is, but if we have 2 adults in McVeigh, then McVeigh is covered even if there are multiple tables. Now, if we have 4 Sunday school classes, we would want 2 adults in each Sunday school classes because they're separated from each other would be the simple statement of it.
And what about the gathering place?
The gathering place, since the gathering place is more isolated usually than here, that's a place to be more strict with the numbers rather than less. So we would want to have at least 2 adults present in the gathering place if it opened up for sure. Because it wouldn't, practically, it wouldn't make sense to have an adult here count as an adult there if it's across the street and it's 2 separate.
Okay, I meant like each of the rooms upstairs have 2 adults?
Yeah, the ideal would be if we had something going on in the Kia's house and in the gathering place downstairs and in the gathering place upstairs, we would have 6 adults, 2 in each floor.
Okay.
There is a floating room that could be used if it was necessary, but the ideal is to have 2 in each space because they are separated from each other.
Not necessarily 2 in every room.
It might not be, the ideal is 2 in every room, but you can resolve it with the use of someone who pops in and out, to where if you have 1 adult in a different classroom and someone pops in just to check in unannounced and unexpected, that's a way that you can resolve that. So in the gathering place, you could have 1 adult downstairs and 1 adult upstairs and someone who floats back and forth, and then it'd be 3 adults instead of 4. But in an ideal world, 2 and 2 would be the way to do it. And part of that is just to encourage the parental involvement and volunteer involvement within the whole church anyway. So it's a way to do it. Yeah.
Are there rules about everyone's house that are rules about being unrelated? So like my husband and I can't leave family supervision. There have to be 2 non-related adults for certain events. Is there any stipulation?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
In this
The
policy.
answer is that yes,
Yeah, okay.
we would really want the 2 adults to be non-related because,
Okay.
I mean, obviously, if you look at from the perspective of the need in the same household, if you had anything that was going on in that household, then that wouldn't account for it. So you would want the 2 adults to be non-related.
Okay. We would want that, but and that's all in a perfect world. There are a couple things. There's glass in the window that we'll go over, the door open, and a floater. We know that things happen, and we also know that couples like to teach together. So, we'll talk about that. Is that truly stated that
Yeah,
some things happen, right?
Right. There are situations, within safe sanctuaries, there's a minimum baseline of things you really just have to meet. And then there are some things that, that you ideally do as often as you possibly can, but sometimes you may need to resolve by having a floater or popping in and out, and sometimes that happens. And that's why that rule exists, is so that you don't have to shut down ministry, you can still figure out a way to make it work. Now, if you get in a situation where that's happening all the time, that's not necessarily good. But to take care of it for one day, you're short on volunteers, somebody gets a flat tire, there are ways that you can resolve that.
No unsupervised children or youth. That means no children will be intentionally left unsupervised while attending a local church or youth activity. I know that we try not to do that anyway. Rooms and spaces where children are that we care for children should have a window. There's the window. in it, in the door left open, such as the restroom. And if you're working with little children, this might be some question opportunity for you here. Can you assist a child in the restroom? Yes, you can. You have to tell the parent that you had to help little Susie out with her leotards. Winter's coming, and those things are hard to get up. And so you do have to tell them so they don't go home and say, Mrs. So-and-so was in the bathroom with me, and whatever. And, you know, they don't know what happened. So, yes, you can assist. Yes, you need to verbally tell the parent. But the door should be left open, and things should be done in the open. So, if you have a little boy who has oshkosh-bagosh, the little hooks right here, do it on the outside of the bathroom door, have them hold it, and then send them in. But they'll come out, who knows how they'll come out. But they'll come out, and then you'll help them outside the door. So, but if you have to assist in the restroom, you can do that, but it has to be verbally reported to the parent.
And another thing that can help with that, sometimes you can take a couple kids into the restroom and do it with a group going instead of just one kid going, so that it's not as isolated. That there are ways you can think through what you're doing to try to keep it public and everything's on the internet.
Yeah, great. Outdoor programs. Children's youth activity be outdoor? I think Seema wanted to talk about this because where is she at? She had a game.
I think she went to make copies.
Oh, okay.
So we can come back to it.
Let's come back to that because Seema wanted to go over that one.
Yeah.
She has some outdoor games and stuff that she plays with youth, and it's just saying that we will take the proper measurements and get enough people there to cover the area, even when they're outside. So, and children should always be supervised then and not left in the space by themselves. And
Here she comes now.
Any other
She's on her way in now.
Oh.
You're up, Seema.
Good. I thought you might want to talk about the outdoor